Welcome to Dear Warriors. My name is Amy Vega, and I am your host. I have worked in the plasma industry for over 20 years. Throughout my career, I was blessed to have worked with the most incredible employees and met the most amazing donors and recipients of plasma. This podcast was started to bring to light what had been in the shadows, the rare disease community. Join me on Dear Warriors, where we will share stories of warriors and so much more. Hey, welcome back. This is Amy and Allie on the Q&A.
Hi, guys.
All right, girl, here we go. Some of these questions, I thought these questions were perfect for you because I love the way you expressed when you were talking about your testimonial the other day, the way you expressed pain. And so I was like, what is a good question for Allie? So I would like to ask, if pain was a color, what color would it be for you?
If pain was a color for me, it would probably be dark red.
Ooh.
I would say dark red.
Wow, that's powerful. You know what? I actually, when I sent this to you, I said, watch her say black. Watch her say black. Watch her say blue. And red, you threw me off totally. It happens to be my favorite color, too.
Really?
Well, it's green, but I've always loved the color green. It's just such a calm color. I actually bought a car green. My wedding pictures, some people were in green. My husband's color is blue, so we had blue and green on our wedding. And just red, I think as a kid, I've just been drawn to red. My mom had me in this like exotic, this is like not really exotic, but my mom had me in like chaotic yellow. I had a room and I blamed everything that I did as a teenager bad on the color of the room. Well, you had me in a psychotic color. Of course I'm gonna, be rebellious. Of course. So that's like the inside joke of my family. Every time I did something wrong, because I was like the black sheep, I was like, well, you kind of put me in a yellow room. That's why I'm psychotic. But so red is interesting. Interesting. Is it because of the deepness and the like the fire, or what's the reason behind red?
Red is a powerful color. I mean, stop signs are red. The street lamp is red when you have to come to a stop. Red has a lot of meaning, and red to me, a dark red, seems like the color that my aura would emit if I was in excruciating pain. I thought about black, and then I thought, no, I don't think so. There's more emotion in a dark red than there is in black. Black
Right.
is almost too neutral, but a dark red is saying something.
Yeah, deep. That was deep. You know what? I might have to use that question again on another guest. I really like that.
It's a good question.
Okay, so let's go back. Remember the very first time you were infused, that very first therapy. How was that like? Describe those feelings. The very first time you got that juice.
So the first time I got the infusion, it took place at my doctor's office. Now, I don't know if that's per insurance guidelines or what my doctor preferred, because it was such an intense drug to be pumping into my system, and I'm so sensitive. I'm sensitive to everything on the planet: colors, dyes, smells, fabrics, foods, everything. I think he may have wanted me to do it at his office in case something happened. But again, as a buffer, it might have been a preference of the pharmacy I was with. I don't remember, but I had it done in his office in one of the patient rooms, and I brought my fairy blanket that day. And I had
Oh,
this special blanket that I thought would be comforting for me, and they said it would last a while. And I think for that first infusion, it was probably 6 hours.
yeah.
And if I recall, I'm taking myself back to that day. I had my fairy blanket. It lasted 6 hours, and I think they had a hard time finding a vein. I have horrible veins.
Oh, me
I have
too.
a terrible vascular system. Ugh. And I remember, I think the woman who was trying to get it, this scared me. She said something like, well, if we can't get it in Miss Brown's arms or wrists or whatever, we'll get it in her, I swear she said, we'll get it in the jugular. And I was like, wait,
Oh my God.
wait, what? And I just wanted it to work, so I don't remember saying no, but I remember thinking, no, you can't be serious. You're not going to put a needle in my neck, are you? But I swear I remember them saying, because that's a pretty vivacious vein,
Yeah.
and I swear that's what they said. Luckily, they didn't have to do that, but I remember being very drowsy. I think I slept the whole time because I took all the pre-meds that generally come with every infusion, Tylenol and Benadryl. And for me, the Benadryl just knocks me out cold. So I remember sleeping on the table, or it's sort of a cushiony table. You know, it's not really a bed, but it was more comfortable than I thought it would be. The blanket helped. And it was a very big deal. I think it was the first thing they had done in that office that was of this caliber medicine, to have
Wow.
a patient infused for 6 hours straight. I don't think they had done that with anyone else before. It was kind of a newer clinic, doctor's office, and all the other staff, I remember them kind of congratulating me for doing it and sort of asking how I was feeling at the end, because that was their whole work day, basically. I came in and then I came out at the end of the day.
Wow. I mean, 6 hours. Yeah. That's funny. I spoke to somebody the other day and they did say that it's Tylenol and Benadryl. Is that like, that must be the protocol. Do you react? Is that what it is? Because I know how sensitive you are.
So they do that in hopes of diminishing any allergic reaction that the patient might have to the drug.
Yeah.
And as you very well know, every batch is different. And some batches are, I don't know if this is the right word, but I'm going to say some batches are cleaner than others. And it's just kind of a mixed bag. You're not really sure what you're going to get until you're getting the infusion. And they do those pre-meds in an effort to minimize your negative reactions. I don't do that well with Tylenol, though, because of my IBD. It can trigger a leaky gut for me. So I generally avoid the Tylenol, but I'll take the Benadryl. So I kind of go for a middle happiness. I don't take the Tylenol, but I take the Benadryl.
That's interesting. I mean, this is the second time that I've heard that about the batches, and in my background, I know that plasma goes through so many testing and there's a process. So I would love to bring an expert on and figure out, not the Tylenol, the Benadryl part of it. Is it because of the patient reacting to each and every like each and every batch of medication? Is it just for precaution? Because the plasma that we manufacture is tested and tested and tested. So it's kind of strange. This is the second person that has kind of mentioned something like that. So, that's what something that we probably should look at, bringing in an expert and see, if we could ask them those kind of questions. That would be nice to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know because I have had a couple times, I've had a couple infusions where something weird happens, and I don't do a great job of saying when something's wrong. Now, I'm not sure if that's because I grew up having an invisible illness where nobody took my symptoms seriously, or if it's because I don't want to be a victim, or I'm not sure why I have such a hard time saying, excuse me, I'm miserable, or excuse me, I'm having a horrible reaction, or you know what, I need some support, or I'm not well. I need to lie down, or whatever the case may be. I do not stand up for myself, and I don't always stand up for my need for extra care. I just slough it off and soldier on. And I think that probably comes from 15 years. So elementary school to college ages that whole time period of people not believing me when I said something was wrong. So I guess it became instilled in me to just suck it up and power on, because if I told somebody something was wrong, who other than my mom, she's always believed me. We had a code when I was younger, and I said, I'm telling you the truth. And she would say, I trust what you're telling me is true, because most of the time I looked totally fine. I had a stomach ache, a chronic stomach ache for, the first 16 years of my life. My stomach hurt 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but I always looked okay. And so sometimes during my infusions, weird things will happen and I don't say anything. And now that I've been getting this therapy for so long, I realize that it probably would have been in my best interest to say something to my nurse because they may have said to me, oh, let's write that down. And then if it doesn't happen the next time, maybe it was that batch. Like, I think one time I was getting an infusion and I had a weird chest pain. And it was weird. And I remember thinking, oh, this is quite uncomfortable, but I didn't say anything. I think I just assumed that the Benadryl would knock me out and I would just sleep through it. But in hindsight, I'm older and wiser, and I know better about the product and the seriousness of this therapy. Now I try to be more of an advocate for myself. And when I'm getting the infusion, I speak up. And I've also learned that being hydrated has an impact on your side effects from the drug, and the rate at which you're infused has a direct link to the severity of your side effects from the drug. So
no, that is true.
Yeah. So if you're fragile or sensitive like me, the slower, the better.
Yeah, we had a guest on, and she said the same thing, that she had a reaction if you kind of rush the therapy, rush the infusion, you can get headaches and you can get like side effects. But if you go slow and steady, she doesn't react. And yeah, so you said that right on it. You said exactly what she said, that as long as, slow and steady, you don't react as much as if, you rush through the infusion, which, oh my God, I would hope that nobody rushes a recipient through an infusion.
Yeah, you just hit the nail on the head as well, Amy, with the headaches. I've had a couple of times, and I think, I've been through multiple products. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I've been through probably 6 different products, maybe 6 or 7. I'd have to go back and count, but several times. I don't know if it was because they did it too fast or if it was the product or the batch, but I'd wake up the next day with a migraine headache so bad. One time I couldn't even open my eyes. My boyfriend guided me into the shower and I sat on the floor of the tub and let the water just hit my forehead for, I don't know how long I was in there. Felt like I was in there a long time, and I just sat on the floor of the tub and cried. and waited until I could live again. So
Yeah.
that was a horrible reaction.
So you have tried different products. What's your favorite product so far?
My favorite product so far, I would say my top two favorites, Gamaplex and Panzyga, are my two top products, I would say.
Where you don't react as much.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She had mentioned she had mentioned Gamma Guard, and she's been using Gamma Guard for about 15 years, and she's not reacted. The only thing that she had mentioned, and you'll probably hear it on the show, is that if it's rushed, you can get a headache. But she was under that same thought process where you feel like you have a bad batch, and that really is sad to me because I'm in the industry and I know that that's the talk of I mentioned it too. I said I believe that that's like the lingo, when you react you get a bad batch, but I can promise you the plasma is checked and checked and checked and tested and tested and tested. It is the out of the entire, blood and plasma industry, it is the most highly regulated, out there. So,
Yeah.
I speak for the entire industry, not just for any particular company. The industry across the way, I can tell you that they strive for that. That is the one thing, which I was the manager, we weren't even allowed to release one, a shipment unless we had a clearance from the center level. Then when it goes into fractionation, it goes through a clearance process. Then it goes into the batching part. So everything is a process, and it's so highly tested. And I just feel so bad that so many people think that, if they react, they had a bad batch. And I know that could possibly be, but I can tell you from the industry side, it has to be perhaps maybe the way it is, the person is reacting to it, because the product is tested so much. It's crazy. Oh, anyway, we have to get an expert on. We do.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right. So here is one that I will always keep on there. Tell me something that others may not know about you.
Okay. That's, I guess at this point in our journey together, listeners, you don't know much about me at all. So that shouldn't be difficult. Okay. I ran a baking company at one point, my own baking company.
Ooh, yum. That is awesome. Okay, so when we meet, you have to bake. That's it.
Oh gosh, absolutely. You know what it was called?
What?
It Makes Me Happy Baking Company.
Oh, that is so cute. I love it.
It was so much fun. I was baking maybe 18 hours a day. I was living in the kitchen and I slept on the couch that was just off of our kitchen. So I basically didn't leave that small square footage of the house. I baked all day and then slept on the couch and woke up the next day and baked all day, slept on the couch. It was, oh my gosh, it was unbelievably fulfilling. I loved it. And I made little cookies. That was kind of my specialty. I made little cookies. So somebody would feel less guilty if they ate, 5 miniature cookies instead of one huge one. And they were all perfectly sized, all the same size. And I made these raspberry jam thumbprints, and they were perfectly formed. Every single one had the same amount of jam. I loved it.
How cute. That's amazing. That is definitely, I thought you were going to say knitting because of the picture you sent me. I was like, oh, she's going to say knitting.
Oh,
I just know.
I did. So I did tell you that then. I told you that, Amy. Okay, I've become a crocheter again. I've revived my hobby. I did it when I was younger, and then I'm not sure what caused me to drop it, but I picked it back up and now I'm totally addicted.
It's that, I know somebody that does it, and it's therapy. She loves it. And during quarantine,
Mm-hmm.
this is exactly what she did. She started knitting, and, she has all the Christmases already, done, because she started knitting and getting the family's gifts already. She said that is the best therapy for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, I had insomnia one night a few weeks ago, and I crocheted all night long.
oh my goodness.
Like, I don't know, from 12 o'clock at night to 9 in the morning, I just crocheted. And I had work that day, and my fingertips were kind of numb. And I thought, okay, so a couple things. Number one, I didn't get any sleep last night. I crocheted all night long, Amy. And number two, I have work today. Number three, how am I going to make it through the day? Number four, I want to finish my scarf, but my fingers were too numb. So I took the day off crocheting. I worked all day. And then that night, I was able to come back to my scarf and finish it.
How
But
cool.
I
It was,
know.
I mean, it looked beautiful. I loved it. I was like, oh, and it's the perfect season for it now, because we're going into
Mm-hmm.
the fall. So yeah,
Yes.
that is nice. So one of your advice, what would be an advice you can give a newly diagnosed, or just somebody who's struggling, learning to live within the rare community? What advice would you give?
Ooh, that's a good question. Okay, so what advice would I give? Well, I guess I can answer that. I can answer both halves of that question. The first half, advice for someone newly diagnosed. Take a deep breath. A diagnosis is a good thing. Don't be scared. It's scary too. It's good, but it's scary. It's good because it confirms you're not crazy. If you, like myself and probably many others in this community, have been faced with doubt and mistrust by very highly decorated physicians in the medical community and your family and friends, having a diagnosis gives you the upper hand. I hate to say it like that, but I have watched people in my very personal life just fall to the side because they didn't take my invisible illness seriously. So to have a diagnosis, I had the strength to then say in a polite way, I wasn't making it up. I wasn't crazy. It's real. I now have a diagnosis. And it gave me the voice to say, you can't harass me anymore. I was telling the truth.
Right.
And having that emotional weapon in your toolkit does make a difference. You can kind of take a sigh of relief that day. When you get that diagnosis, you can just, whew, okay, so it's not in my head. It's not fake. I'm not making it up. My family's not making me make it up. The whole thing, it's real. So to be newly diagnosed, take a deep breath. Don't be scared. Reach out. I remember I spiraled out of control when I got diagnosed with chronic Lyme. It was the best and worst day of my life. I very vividly remember that day, and I probably should have reached out to somebody and said, I just need you to be here in the moment with me for a moment. Not even, I don't really need to talk. I just need you to share my energy with me right now because I'm feeling all kinds of things, because I knew for me that was basically a lifelong sentence, and I knew for me that would mean it would be an uphill battle, and I also knew that it gave me the strength to burst the bubble of anyone who doubted me. I was feeling all kinds of things. So anyone who's newly diagnosed, take it in. It's a lot of emotion. It's validation. But don't be afraid to reach out. Like I said, even if you just get someone on the phone and say, can you just be in the moment with me right now? I'm feeling all kinds of things. And if you're struggling with learning how to live within the rare disease community, find a support group. That was the pivotal moment in my journey to learning how to cope and learning how to live within the rare disease community. That was the most significant time for me, was when I started my blog. And I discovered that there is a whole world out there of people who are going through a very similar battle as me. Yes, every case is different. But if you find that crew of people who are also fighting similar invisible diseases as you, I'm not going to say I 100% guarantee, but I can, 99% guarantee you will find at least one other person who shares a large number of the symptoms that you exhibit. You will find someone that you can connect with, and you can say, "Oh my God, it's exhausting. Are you exhausted? I'm exhausted. It's just exhausting." And you can find comfort in hearing someone else say that they're carrying that heavy burden too. There is so much healing energy that comes from finding a support network. Starting my blog and then finding a support group on Facebook changed my life. I don't know that I would still be here today if I hadn't accessed that valuable resource of fellow invisible illness warriors. I suddenly had a safety cushion because I spent the rest of my life being around people who didn't have a clue what it's like to sweat through your clothes in 5 seconds down to the waist for nothing, having everybody be like a lion to your system.
Mm-hmm.
Reacting to stores. I mean, I went into a DSW one time, and I didn't even try on a single pair of shoes. And I looked down, and my feet had a rash. And I said, "Oh, Mom, we got to go." For me, it's like a ticking time bomb. That's how it's always been since I was a kid. I have a safe space of time where I don't become symptomatic. And as soon as I break through that time period, I start becoming reactive and symptomatic to all of the nasty things in the stores, the artificial smells, lights, everything. And I got to go. We want to buy that. Can you buy it for me later? Or I just don't need to have it. I need to leave. My body is breaking down.
Wow.
So it's nice to find people who go through those similar experiences, because it's very hard to relate to other people.
Wow, girl. Amazing. Whew, I can't even imagine. I cannot imagine. I just want to hug you, and you're so far away. Oh my goodness.
I can feel it.
I love it. I love it. So this is the end of our Q&A, but as always, thank you. You always empower me. I think I'm a better person every time I speak to you. I just feel like I got to go out there and just hug the world and help everybody. So you are the light to this show. I really, really love that you're on. So I heard that you have this blog, the blog that you have, and you used to do some recipe and cooking. And I would like for you to share that the next time we're together, maybe a comfy recipe, since now I know you had your own baking company. So now you have to share that with us, at least comfort food, because, during infusion, it's always good to watch TV and, turn on your machine and just, I don't know, eat some cookies or something. I don't know. So if you can share that with us the next time, I would love for you to do that.
Okay, I would love to tell you about Super Duper SC Deer, and there's a special way that it's spelled, and it's cute. There's a story behind it. It's not spelled the way you think it is, and there's a lot where that comes from. I've been running that blog since, almost 10 years now, and it's got stories, it's got recipes, it's got resources, it's got photos, it's got all kinds of things, and I would be more than happy to share that with you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm sure the listeners would love it. I'm sure somebody's out there thinking, oh my God, what can I eat? I just feel awful. And this is going to be great for us, for you to share that, because we want to empower people. We don't want people to be sickly and in bed. We want them to have the resources. Even if they have other resources they go to, they can come onto the show and say, you know what, Allie did this amazing broth and I need to do it and made her feel better. Let me try it. So those are the kind of things that I want to bring on the show, and I'm so excited. So thank you so much, and I guess we'll talk in a couple of days. We have another interview coming up. I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm very excited.
All right. We are not just sharing stories on Dear Warriors. Our goal is to help change lives. And when you share this podcast, you are helping to change lives too. Listen to this podcast on your favorite streaming platform. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, and God bless.